This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, Rabbi Glatstein. Hope everybody is having a great Erev Shabbos as we prepare for Parshas Vayigash, Haba Aleinu L'Taiva. We all know that the Torah tells us that when Yaakov ended up in Mitzrayim, the total sum tally of Jews that were in Mitzrayim are 70, even though the Pasuk says 66 went down. But of course, Yosef and his two sons, and Yocheved was born Bein HaChoimos, and Serach. Now let's just make a simple cheshbon. Yocheved. Who was Yocheved? Yocheved was the daughter of Levi. So we're counting granddaughters, yeah? Counting granddaughters? How many granddaughters are we counting? Yocheved and Serach. Well, wait a second. You're telling me that of all the 12 sons of Yaakov and all the grandsons, there were only 2 granddaughters? How's that possible? How is that statistically possible? What happened to all the other granddaughters? You say, no, they only had males. Well, then they need to market this product. If the children of Yaakov only had, how'd they do that? Does that make any sense? Orange juice, some people say that it's too much orange juice. What's going on over there? There were no granddaughters except for Yocheved and Serach. V'hapela, says in the Tziv Loimar, Shebnei Yaakov lo hilidu kulam rak zacharim v'lo nekev. It's a pella that the Bnei Yaakov only gave birth to boys and not girls. And the proof is, doesn't it say that when Yosef was taken, Vayakom kol banav v'chol benoisav, all the sons and daughters were, okay, so that means we know there were daughters. It says the Netziv hapel alam Shebnei Yaakov lo hilidu kulam rak zacharim v'lo nekevos, and lanira degam hema hilidu harbi nekevos. They had many females. Ela shaloihayu b'chlal shivim nefesh. They were not counted among the 70. V'loyoid ela Yaakov atzmoi hayoyoid banim inashav. Yaakov himself had daughters. What, you think Yaakov only had Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zebulun, and Dan, Naphtali? Well, how did he pull that off? That's like only males. It's like somebody told me, Sephardi guy told me, his father said, I don't care if you have a boy or a girl, but you better make a bris, that's the... So how did Yaakov Avinu figure out how to do this? The answer is, Ella shaloi nizkaru b'shmam mishum shaloi haya bahem inyan noigeya l'uma Yisraelis. We learn from here, the reason why the nekevos are not mentioned is because it is irrelevant. The Torah only records information that is necessary for us to know and that is vital to our knowledge as a people. Meaning Avada, Yaakov had daughters, Yaakov had granddaughters. The Torah only mentions the individuals who we need to know about. The Torah is on a need-to-know basis. Sometimes you're talking to people and they're telling you things and you think to yourself, Rebbe Shalom, why are you telling this to me? I don't need to know where you went, what you did, and why you did it. And you're sitting there, you're nodding your head, you're smiling politely, thinking, the Torah does not give useless information. The Torah does not give historical information. The Torah doesn't give any information. The matters in the Torah are only what is necessary to know to be a good Jew. And therefore, V'al Tisma, don't wonder, Sharei Gambi Avram Avinu Ikotana, even Avram Avinu had a daughter, and the Torah doesn't tell it to us. Why not? The answer is because who cares? Well, what? So we should send him. We should have to go to some ridiculous store, waste money, buy him a baby gift, and send him a package with a note. Why do I need to know that Avram Avinu had a daughter? Of what significance is it? The Torah does not give irrelevant information. But let's clarify this, meaning the Torah only gives information of what there is some kind of eternal legacy. There is no memorial, there's no memory of that daughter, and therefore it's not necessary to be in the Torah. And therefore, don't ask that it says that there were 70, and really there were much, much more. So then Netziv's opinion is, Avada, you want to know how many Jews were in Mitzrayim? Many more than 70, but the Torah only records what it's necessary to know about it. I'll give you 3 more examples of this.
Is the more famous? Anybody else says this?
No, that's what the Netziv says. He said Misvara. Yaakov Avinu, what, he only had 2 granddaughters? It's not. No, they did. It was, to them it was Pasha. They didn't need to tell it to us. What? I'll give you.
To the women, they're not going to really be very happy to hear this.
That's why this is just between the 2 of us and all the people who are watching on the camera. Fine. The Gur Aryeh, the Maral says in Parshas Lech Lecha that Oig Melech HaBashan was left mi Yeser Harafayim. Rashi says Shepalat midar hamabel. Kach darshu Chazal. When we say Hapolet, the refugee, the meaning is the well-known and designated refugee. And this is Oig, who escaped from the Dar HaMabel, like it says, Oig Nishar Miyeser Harafayim. Frek the Maral. How could you say that Oig was saved from the Mabel? But it says by the Mabel, by Yishar Ach Noach. Only Noach survived. So if it says only Noach survived, that means Noach and nobody else. So how could you say that the Palit is Oig, but the Torah says only Noach survived? The Gemara darshans this in Masechta Zvachim. The answer is that even though the Torah doesn't say that Oig survived, and even though the Torah's mashma only Noach survived, no, the Torah only says the people who survived that last till the end of time. But the descendants of Oig were destroyed, and they had no kiyum, and therefore the Torah does not record that Oig survived, because it's irrelevant. There was no eternal kiyum and existence and maintenance of the family of Oig. In other words, again, the same hashkafa, the same point. If you look at the Torah and you examine the Torah and you want to know, what is the Torah telling me? The answer is the Torah is not giving any historical information. The Torah is not putting things in context. The Torah is telling you information that is needed to know, information that is true until the end of time. Only Noach survived the Mabel. What do you mean Oig survived? No, but Oig's family had no kiyum because Oig's descendants were wiped out ultimately when Klal Yisrael came into through their land. And therefore, just like the descendants, the daughters of the family of Yaakov, the granddaughters of the family of Yaakov, the daughter of Abraham is not mentioned because there's no memorial of them. Oig Melech HaBashan also, for all intents and purposes, it's not necessary to know that he survived the Teva, even though he did. Okay, next example of this. And then we're going to talk about Mars. We're getting there. Okay. So you say, why do I need to know Alufe Esav, the 8 kings? So we had a shiur on this on Wednesday. The 8 kings of Esav is a whole Kabbalistic concept of Shviras HaKelim. In fact, the first 7 kings died, and the 8th king was Hadar, and Hadar is 8 for the 8th day of Chanukah, Mehadrin, that's why he didn't die. And we had a whole, the kings of Esav are very important in terms of the future history of the Jewish people. But yes, we have the authority to ask. If you see a whole long list of names, I need to know this. Right now I have to figure out when the shiur is over and I have to pick up potato kugel and bring it home for Shabbos. No, you have the right to ask every detail in the Torah, what is it teaching me? I'll give you one more example. The penultimate pasuk of Megillas Esther is V'chomasei sakvayu gvurasai ufarashas glas Mordechai asher gidoloi hamelech. Right? V'chomasei tzakvai gvurasai. If you want to know the power, the might, and the greatness of Mordechai and how the king raised him up. Haloihem kisuvim b'sefer divrei hayomim l'malchei madayu farah. If you want to know the history of the Purim story, look in the Chronicles of Persia and Media. So what's the Megillah telling you? Is the Megillah recommending that you get a library card in Persia, and you go to the Persian library, and you pick up a copy of the Chronicles of Persia and Media? Is the Megillah recommending that we listen to the media? No, right? Because it says Paras umadai. We don't listen to the media. What is the Megillah telling me? Medea. Says Rabbi Cheskel Abramsky. What? Medea? Oh well, right? So says Rabbi Cheskel Abramsky. The Megillah is telling you what Torah is. Don't think that this is a historical record of an event. This is not a historical record of event. This is a book that every detail of it is proclaiming the miraculous intervention of the Creator of the universe. There is no historical information given. You are entitled to ask, why is this detail given? Why is that detail given? How does it enhance my appreciation of the miracle? Because if you want to know history, then you got to look elsewhere. Haloihim, Kesuvim, the Sefer Divrei Hayamim. This is not a book of history. No information given in the Torah for historical purposes. Yes?
So we sing in Zmiros, we sing in Hanukkah, Rov Banav V'Kinyanav.
Yeah.
We're singing about Haman, that the majority of his sons were Haman.
Most of his kids?
So when the Megillah says 10 of his sons were killed, what do I care about the other? Why does it list those 10 if they're wiped out?
Okay, again,
if he had other sons.
You're entitled to ask. I didn't say you're entitled to ask now. In general, you're entitled to ask. I'm just thinking, yeah. We'll have to talk about, if you want to know about every detail of Megillah, we'll discuss that. But the Gemara says he had more than 10 sons. He had Roiv, Gematria Roiv, right? 208. Fine. One more example. So, Marv Rabbi Sai, let's discuss the following very important question. Is there life on Mars? I'm sure everybody wants to know about that. Sometimes people, they toss and turn at night. People tell me they can't sleep at night. Presumably it's because they're wondering if there's extraterrestrial life on other planets. And they once asked Rabbi Yerucham, the Mir Mashgiach, is there life on other planets? And he answered, it makes absolutely no difference. It's completely irrelevant. Because if it did make a difference, it would be in the Torah. Meaning, the Torah tells us what we need to know. And if it's not in the Torah, we don't need to know it. In other words, the Torah is a Torah's Chaim. It's a handbook of life. It gives us all the information we need to know to be successful in this world. Now, you want to be choikar, is there life on other planets? You could choose to waste your time, but it's irrelevant information, because if it was relevant, the Torah would tell us about it. He says over here, this is in the Sefer Ma'orei Shiurim of the Gateshead Rosh Yeshiva Rav Aryeh Zev Gorowitz. He says, V'hinei shamati me'agoin Rabbi Yerucham shahiyaragel oimer kal ma sheniten lanu b'Torah, whatever is given us in the Torah, hurak ma shenachatz lanu l'tachlas, is only for a specific purpose. Hein hayediyos oy halimudim, whether or not pieces of information or teachings, like the Rambam tells us that if you see something from Chazal that seems that Chazal are just teaching me scientific information, you obviously don't know what they mean. The Chumash and the Gemara is not here to teach us any information. The purpose of Torah is to tell you what we need to know to guide us in the right path. But information and trivia, that is not the purpose of the Torah. Says Rabbi Yerucham, Im Yeshaleni Adam, if someone would ask me, Im Yesham Bria ala Koichav Mars, are there Martians, are there aliens, from other planets? Says Rabbi Yerucham, Ken Zayin, could be on Mars. They're like these three-headed Martians with four noses, and they have spaceships with like those things that could suck you up into them and capture you in the middle of the night. It could be. They have that stuff up there. And there could even be people up there. And those people could even, I don't know, who knows what's going on upstairs. But it could be they even have a Torah. Could be. Could be they have shuls. It could be they have a Kiddush on Shabbos. Could be what Nusach they daven, Nusach Yitalki, Nusach Arizal, I don't know. But one thing we know is that it's irrelevant. Why? Because if it was relevant, and if we needed to know about it, Hashem would have told us about it in the Torah. And the fact that it's not in the Torah means that we don't need to know. It has no bearing on our lives. So Rabbi Sai,
everything is in the Torah, even this question in the Torah. Everything that exists in the universe is in the Torah. If you plumb it deep enough, with part of this, everything is in the Torah.
Whatever you need to know is straight out in the Torah. If it's not straight out in the Torah, that means you don't have to know about it. Okay, Marv Rabbi Sai, that is a very important lima we learned from Vayigash, that really, in fact, there were more than 70. So why are they not recorded? Because we don't need to know about it. Okay.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.